All right, we're back here on the Five on the Floor podcast, and let's go through some topics kind of rapid fire here. Bam Adebayo, we had him on the pod here. He was terrific. He was all excited. He was going to spend his summer overseas. He was taking his mother to China. He got cut for Mason Plumlee. And Marvin Bagley, who decided the next day.
The disrespect continues.
All right. Who decided the next day, Alf, okay, I want to help Sacramento get the 11th seed.
If you're Bam and they call you back, do you go?
No.
Hell no. Okay.
No. So why do we think – because all I saw was the highlights, right? Okay, I'm not out there in Vegas. I wish I was. All I saw was the highlights of Bam, like, schooling people. He played the most minutes of the bigs in that scrimmage. Not by much. They're all about the same. And then he gets cut. Why do you think he got cut?
It blows my mind. I have no idea. And I've actually heard some things, some tertiary stuff that really I don't know enough to actually, I don't report things anyway. But there's some things that I heard that are background off the court stuff that, could just be rumor, could be real. But
that would surprise me with him a lot.
Yeah, and that's why that's why I won't say anything about it. And that's why I said something about it, but it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really fit his character. But just as on a basketball standpoint, it made absolutely no sense because internationally, is he not the kind of guy you want out there?
I would think. I mean, he's a rim runner. He's gonna get out and defend. He's a guy you can play with smaller lineups. I mean,
he can play in the zone. If you have to go to a zone defense, he can play in the zone defense. He works really well against the zone because he can step out and he's shown a little bit of shooting ability. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's like I remember when somebody put it up the other day, Redeem Team versus the Dream Team.
Yeah.
And it was funny watching that because at that time in 2008, Dwight Howard was one of the best players in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably the best center. He was the best center in the NBA. And he and Bosh played a lot better than he did internationally because of the things that Bosh could do in the international game. And I thought Bam was going to have a lot of that same success because of the versatility of his versatility defensively.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, I mean, Mason Plumlee's got more international. I mean, more sort of overall collegiate, international, and regular experience. So maybe Pop just wanted that. I don't think there's some Pop bias against the Heat. I mean, they had Bam on the team.
Not at all.
It's interesting to me, and I saw some Heat fans who were kind of down on it now because we've been pumping Bam up, and he couldn't beat out Mason Plumlee. Like you said, all these circumstances are kind of different. I'm one of those who would have liked for him to get the opportunity. I know there are others on Twitter who are like, well, he can rest up now for the season. He's 22, man. Like, right. I mean, he's not going to rest anyway. Okay. And so, I mean, he's been in the gym every day. I think it would have been good experience for him. Guys come back from those trips very different. I think it's a lost opportunity, honestly. And I was there that day. I interviewed him down there at the arena, and he was so excited about it. I was disappointed for him. It was good to see him back at the Big Three the next day. We're going to go to that topic next. It was good to see him back there with Jay Rich and everybody else, and hanging out with with homeless Tyler Johnson and James Johnson's hair.
Tyler Johnson, where? Okay.
I don't. I mean, if I had $19 million, man, like I don't. I mean,
I'd buy a full pair of shorts.
Well, maybe. Well, no, you would wear cargo shorts anyway.
Oh, I would. Listen, I would get the most exexpensive cargo shorts ever.
You still buy them from Old Navy or the Gap.
That's true. But I'd probably get like 8 pockets instead of 6.
Right. And I have those now too because they're dad pockets. So I need them. I've got different LOLs in every pocket. If you have a 5 girl now, you know what this is. Like you have a different. I have like 50 LOLs in my house now, and they're all over the place. So yeah, I'm a little disappointed by it. I'm not going to root against the U.S. because of this.
I wrote that. I hope they lose to Zimbabwe.
Yeah, well, that's it's one of those bleep hole countries, right? Anyway, we're gonna. That's not coming from me. All right, so let's get to the next topic here, the Big Three, and Mario Chalmers still rules. By the way, our Ryan Lasner, you can find him at Lasner Sport, asked Rio if he's the best shooter in the Big Three, and of course he said yes, because he is. And in recorded history. But that I wasn't there. We had 3 guys out there. Chris Maddox was out there. Alex Toledo was going to do some work on this pod, was out there. It looked like a really good time. And not just because, Dwayne Wade tweeted out that it was the greatest game winner ever when Nate Robinson jumped into Big Baby's arms.
That was actually pretty damn cool.
It was very cool. I think, we see all these leagues, they come and go, right? Like, arena football stuck around a long time, but a lot of these leagues, I covered a lot on these minor leagues, okay? And they come and go because they don't do anything different. I really like this league. Like, I had Ricky Davis on last week. Like, it's different. It keeps guys engaged. NBA players, people know who these guys are. Because
that's the biggest thing. There's so much. Right. Yeah, it's not amateurs. It's name recognition. There's tons of name recognition. You get to see guys that you're like, why aren't they in the league anymore? Or I miss seeing them play. Like, people down here want to see Mario Chalmers play. Right. Joe Johnson playing in that league is not fair. But
no, it's not. Although Joe was this slow 8 years ago. So it's like slow Joe. Like, he's doing the same crap. Like that thing he would do on that. And I know he had a terrible playoff series, but like that thing he would do on the 15-16 team after he got added, where he's like in the lane, and he's moving this slow, and everybody's blowing by him, and they foul him, and then he just lays it up. Like, Joe Johnson is probably going to the Hall of Fame because he was a number accumulator, not just in his bank account, but just
mostly in his bank.
There's nothing I can remember. He's made some game winners, but like, there's no significant playoff success there, is there? Right? Like,
it's not even a playoff success. It's hard to remember, like, except for the game winners, it's hard to remember a single play that really dazzled you because it was a lot. It was very slow. It was plodding. I think that's a word. That he had like a big man power forward game, and but he was a point guard size.
So Joe Johnson gained weight over the course of his career, but like, his game never really changed. Like you said, it just got slower, and so it's just it's just interesting to watch him play in there. But another of the guys that was playing, and I want to hit on this now, was Reggie Evans.
Oh, hating ass Reggie.
Yeah, and so Reggie Evans. I don't know if people remember this, but the other big three, the Heat big three, with LeBron and Dwayne and Mario Chalmers, and now LeBron and Dwayne and Chris, was one of my favorite moments. I was up in Brooklyn, and I actually went to the net shoot around before game, and then I was going to the Heat shoot around after. And so Reggie Evans got asked about the Heat's championship, and he got goaded a little bit because the New York reporters, and he basically said it didn't count. Because this was the season after the Heat won a championship, when they didn't it was the lockout shortened season. So somehow that didn't count, even though that season I covered it. I was home and road. It was more grueling than a regular season because they compressed all the games. They
were back to back sets.
Yeah, well, the Heat swept one. I remember. I think Indiana. I forgot what it was. Indiana, Cleveland, somebody else. They swept, maybe in Atlanta. They swept one of those, but yeah, they won. I forgot how many games, but it was a 66 game season. And so Reggie Evans said it should have an asterisk by it. So LeBron heard this and just stewed all. I think he even tweeted about it. And then, of course, the Heat destroyed the Nets that night. And so we go to the locker room, and LeBron is soaking his feet, and he's got a game box, which he always asked for, but he had a game box like by his left hand. And so he gets it, and he's just, as we walk over, he's just looking at it. Let's see how many offensive rebounds Reggie Evans had tonight. 0.
Petty LeBron.
0. Yeah, Petty LeBron was the best when he was on the Heat. That was right. It was different when he was elsewhere. But and he had none. So like, Reggie Evans has had this bug up his ass about the Heat for all these years. And one of the things about this big three, not the Heat's big three, but the Big Three league, is that there are a ton of former Heat players in it. Like you mentioned, Joe Johnson, Rashard Lewis, Mario Chalmers, Amari Stoudemire, like they're all over the place, okay, in this league. Ricky Davis, who I had on the pod. And so I guess Reggie got tired of getting asked these questions, and one was asked of Chalmers about the Heat, and Reggie, like, snapped. And I'm like, dude, like, you're in their arena. Like, they're letting you use their arena.
Miami, man. Like, what?
Miami. I don't know what he expected.
Did he expect a lot of three-headed monsters questions? Like, I mean, like, just I don't. He just, it's like he is petty to a different level. It's like he doesn't have any reason to be petty. You're Reggie Evans, bro. Like, right. And like believe me, he's much more successful at what he does than I am at what I do. But at the same time, it's like, dude, just be happy that you're up on a podium. Be happy that anyone's asking you questions. I mean, you're in Miami, you're in American Airlines Arena. Chalmers is like back for the first time in how long? You're going to get a ton of Heat questions.
Yeah,
and like,
you would think, right?
And then also, why, Reggie Evans, would you want to take anything away from your teammate? Like, what other arena is Mario Chalmers going to get that many questions asked of him, right?
Well, everyone, because he's the greatest who's ever lived. Come on.
Besides the GOAT questions. I mean, you know, that should have been a big Mario Chalmers moment, and it was in that press conference until, you know, petty-ass, hating-ass Reggie got all of his feelings about it.
What is it about those? This is time for another podcast, but what is about those Heat teams that still drives people in the league so crazy? Like, it's just there's something about them that other players, whether it was Noah, I remember. You remember? Who is it? Who was the backup behind? And now I'm losing my mind on this. The Polish guy, the backup in Orlando behind Dwight. Behind Dwight, Gortat. Remember the way Gortat reacted his first year to the Heat? Like, all of these guys have this issue with the Heat, and I just don't get it. All right, last thing here. We saved it for last. I had him on the podcast. You guys should listen because he was fantastic as usual. Basically on Bam, on Jimmy Butler, on Justice Winslow, what he wants for Justice Winslow this year, on, you know, his historical place, on why he's still with the team. All of it's great. 25 minutes I did with Udonis Haslem last week. Check it out. And the second time he's been on the pod. But you should definitely check it out. But just your general thoughts before we close here on UD coming back as a player.
I have absolutely no problem with it. Like, the Heat fans that are all apoplectic and getting all upset about the last spot on the roster. And it's the last spot on the roster. And we're also talking about a day and age where you have two-way players. So it's not like, I mean, even 10 years ago, who cares? But nowadays, you have 15 roster spots and two-way contracts where you keep guys in the G League and you can develop them there. Especially because, you know, you don't want young guys that you want to develop. You don't want them sitting on the bench every game. You'd rather them go play in the G League. So that roster spot, I mean, it's been reserved for the likes of Justin Hamilton. I mean, just over the course of time, just a lot of guys who they never got into the game. They were just non-factors. Whereas Udonis Haslem is a huge factor for that team in that locker room. And everybody's saying, oh, why doesn't he just be a coach? You know what? Because he doesn't want to be a freaking coach. How about that? Right? He doesn't want to be a coach. And the Miami Heat obviously don't want him to leave the team. They want him on the roster. It's so funny. Udonis isn't complaining about it. The rest of the Heat roster isn't complaining about it. The Miami Heat organization isn't complaining about it. But a bunch of random fans on Twitter are getting so upset about the 15th roster spot.
And UD addresses that with me on the pod. You should listen to that. What inspired that Instagram post? But the other thing he addresses, and this is why it's about being more than just a coach, is he basically said, my game is practice, okay? And so he goes 1,000% in practice and kicks these guys' asses as much as he can in practice. It's hard to do that as a coach. Like, you can work with them. Juwan worked with them. Keith Askins worked with them. Like, former players who are still in shape and work with them. But it's different when you're playing, man.
You're not putting on the pennies as a coach and getting out there running full court.
Right, because you know why? Because right afterwards you got a meeting, okay, with Spoelstra and Dan Craig and everybody else.
Go run a Subway, like
Chris Quinn. Correct. I was at that one today, by the way, in Oakwood Plaza. It's my stop right after you fit. But yeah, I just think it's different about being a player, and so that's why I understood it. And everybody, again, listen to the pod. It's great. And I'm not just saying that because we want to help Durrell Toyota sell more cars, although we do. Absolutely. Go to Durrell Toyota, DurrellToyota.com, and Seltzer Mayberg Law Firm, where I'm taping this from right now in our Seltzer Mayberg studios, which is basically a closed office door. But I want you still haven't been here yet. I want Udonis to be at the forefront of helping these young guys move forward. And it's easier, in my view, for him to do that as a player. And it's not my money. And the roster spot is freaking meaningless. Let's concentrate on who is going to be the second guy on this team, the second most important player behind Jimmy Butler, not who's going to be 14th or 15th. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. They'll find some other guys. They always do. Like,
the only reason it matters is because it's Udonis Haslem. And that's my point. Like, you wouldn't care about that spot. We care about that spot because of Udonis, right?
Right.
So I don't understand why anybody would, if it wasn't Udonis, nobody would even think about that spot. And it just said it's something that's different in this Twitter age, and I don't mean to sound like an old man, which I know I'm about to, but just like the nostalgia and the respect for a player who's laid it out on the line for you for how many years?
Right.
And for just for guys, for just random guys who never get off their couch to sit there and talk shit about an all-time legendary Heat player, a guy who's going to have his number retired, a guy that damn well better have a statue in front of that arena when it's all over. LeBron's not going to have a statue. Shaq's not going to have a statue. Right now, it's probably just going to be Dwayne and Udonis. Right. If that guy wants to play till he's 55, 60 years old, you let him play because he deserves it. All the pay cuts that he's taken over the course of his career to stay here and keep playing for this team and this franchise, he deserves every penny he gets. He deserves to be on this roster as long as he wants. I'm done. I don't want to hear the complaining and the disrespect from Heat fans. It's really gotten ridiculous.
No, it has gotten insane. And I, again, I don't.
Why, you want Jarnell Stokes on the team? Like Yante Mateen, whatever his name is?
Maton, yes. But right now, I'm with you.
They're nice guys. All right? Jarnell Stokes, actually, we've had conversation with him. They're nice guys. It's great. But these guys are not difference makers on an NBA team. And I know it's always the Heat fans that get so bogged down in the G League and prospects and this and that, guys who just are never actually going to matter. And that's a shitty way to say it. But you involve yourself. You get so caught up in the Briante Webers of guys that just are not going to matter in the NBA, and you sit there and you disrespect a legend, and it's stupid.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And so we'll close there. We got other stuff we want to get to this week. I do want to hit those top 5 in franchise history stuff. So we'll probably hit that later in the week. We're going to talk to Howard Beck and another league perspective. Again, check out 5reasonsports.com, 5reasonsports.com. Final say here on Udonis Haslem. James Johnson said it was his happiest news of the offseason. We didn't talk about JJ either, so we'll do that in the next pod, and his hair. But the happiest news of the offseason should be when he cuts that thing. Okay, please cut it. Okay, but if James Johnson says that, that's how the players feel, and so I'm going to go with the players instead of like Twitter trolls. So we'll end there. Check out DoralToyota.com.
This is Ricky J. Mark. In a world where sports radio continues to shift around the whims of corporate interests, we understand that the constant, unexpected changes can be exhausting from time to time. So that's why we think you should sit back, relax, and take 5. Reasons, that is. So go ahead, grab your smartphone, and subscribe to the 5 Reasons Sports Network, available on virtually every podcast platform. We're South Florida's fastest growing on-demand sports media network, so you decide when you want to tune in. You decide when you want to listen. Because we know your life can be hectic, go ahead, fall in love with our lineup, including 5 on the Floor, 3 Yards Per Carry, The Fish Tank, Light-Skinned Opinions, and Cinco Razones, whenever you want. All you need is an internet connection. So go ahead, tune in. Try us out. We're by Miami, for Miami, and spreading rapidly throughout South Florida.